Hey everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today we have about 10 days before the official release of Zack Snyder's Justice League on HBO Max. I am aware that it kind of leaked early a little bit. I guess a couple people tried to press play on the Tom and Jerry movie and it played Justice League accidentally, which is so crazy. And I know there's a lot of conspiracies flying around like, oh, WB did it on purpose or something. I don't know. But I want to talk about my actual thoughts of the whole DCU and Zack Snyder's movies in particular, before they come out, before this thing comes out. And I just want to let you guys know my headspace before I actually watch his movie, because I am gonna give it a fair shake. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna do a reaction to it. Not a reaction, but a little review after I watch the thing. It's 4 hours long. That would be quite a that would be quite a watch along. 4 hours. Oof. Anyways, so to really get to this, we have to start with Man of Steel. Man of Steel is a movie that, for the most part, I actually really enjoy. I am a much bigger DC Comics fan than I am Marvel. In fact, if you were to physically look at my bookshelf I have over there, and all of I have like 7 boxes of comics, it's 99.9% DC stuff and 0.1% other. It is nothing but Batman and Green Lantern and Justice League and some Superman mixed in there. So like when it comes to comic books, it is DC all the way for me. Like, DC is where I live. I can recite to you how many times the universe has been reset, from Crisis on Infinite Earths to 0 Hour to everything, Infinite Crisis, and I can explain to you the entire process, how we get to New 52, and then even a little bit beyond that. I haven't been reading the last couple of years worth of comics for DC. But up until about 2017-ish, I've pretty much read everything. So that's where I'm coming from when I first enter Man of Steel and Zack Snyder's interpretation of these characters, is that I'm a really big fan of their comics version and the classical known versions of these characters. Obviously different movies have interpreted these characters different ways, but for me, Zack Snyder's is like, somehow it's more drastic of a departure than any of the other ones that we've had, and I'll kind of go into it. But just so you know where I start off with, DC Comics and the DC animated shows. I grew up watching the Batman and Justice League Unlimited and Batman Beyond, so DC is a lot of where I live in regards to superheroes. Marvel and all of that stuff, that didn't start happening until like 2008-ish, so like that's not where I grew up. I had to like learn all that stuff later in life. DC is where I'm at. That's where I live. That's what's in my soul, is Batman and Green Lantern and Justice League, and I can recite to you their histories, so it when I watch Man of Steel, I really loved Man of Steel when it first came out. I was not a big Superman fan. I was a Batman guy, but I really loved Man of Steel. In fact, Man of Steel is what got me to start reading more Superman comics. There was a lot of criticism to Man of Steel, and I didn't quite get it. I didn't understand what people were talking about, because at that time I had never actually seen the original Superman movie. Again, I was a Batman guy, so I had watched all the Batman movies. But as time has gone on from Man of Steel, again, I have not watched this movie in probably, 2016 is probably the last time I actually watched Man of Steel. But, as time went on, I started to actually pick up on those criticisms and kind of more understand it. I think on the whole, I still really love Man of Steel, but there are some small things, especially the character of Jonathan Kent. Not just his death. Everyone goes right to his death of like, oh, the death is ridiculous and all that. And it is, but that's not where my criticism lies in that movie. Mine is more along the lines of like, he went this route of Jonathan Kent and Martha to a degree. We'll get to the Martha part. They were so protective of Clark that they would rather him keep his powers to himself and not save people, to keep him hidden. And that's just something that I just don't vibe with. That just does not match the, you know, more traditional versions of these characters. And I know it's okay for people to kind of, you know, make their own interpretation and go their own way and, you know, introduce something new and try it out for a character. I suppose that's fine, but it did rub me the wrong way once I started reading a bunch of Superman comics, and then I went back and watched the movie, and I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't match up. And I kind of understood where these criticisms were coming from. But as a whole, I still really love Man of Steel. I still felt there's a lot of directions they can go with this. They can improve upon the Superman character. There's a lot of potential here. And so that's, I think it was Comic-Con, where they announced Batman v Superman. I got so excited. I was losing my mind, because only maybe a year before that I had read Dark Knight Returns, and I was losing my mind. I was like, oh my god, Superman, Batman, the suit. They read the line from the Dark Knight Returns. It's gonna be awesome. And man, I was so hyped. And then I remember when I first heard the news that they had cast a Wonder Woman for the movie, which I didn't know that was going to be part of the movie. And I, you know, just the lead up to it was amazing. The build up, it was so exciting. And then I saw the movie. Batman v Superman is probably one of the most disappointing movies that I've seen, in comparison to how excited I was going into it, you know. So I don't mean like, oh, I watched Dragon Ball Evolution and I was so disappointed. It's like, no, I knew Dragon Ball Evolution was gonna be shit before I saw it, so there wasn't a lot of disappointment because I already knew that it was a bad movie. Whereas Batman v Superman, I was so willing, and I was my hype levels were over the moon, and then they came crashing all the way down to the core of the planet, because I was so disappointed with that movie. And this movie is actually the one that I compare a lot to people who don't like The Last Jedi. Now, you know, this is not a Star Wars video, but, you know, I've said in the past, Last Jedi, when it first came out, I was kind of disappointed, and it took time for me to like appreciate things that I actually really like about it. But other people went the extreme opposite direction, and they hate that movie to its core, and they've spent years rallying against that movie. That is what Batman v Superman is to me, because I saw Batman v Superman and I was like, that's not Lex Luthor. That Doomsday, that's the design they chose for Doomsday. Superman is mopey the whole time. They could, like, he smiled maybe twice in the whole 2+ hour movie. And then Batman, of course, Batman kills people. And yes, I know Batman has killed people in past movies, but there's a difference between a Batman who's like, you know, the bad guy throws a bomb, and Batman, like, I don't know, Batman like bounces it back and they just happen to explode. There's a difference between that, and yes, I'm aware that did happen in this movie also. There's a difference between that and a Batman who is deliberately gonna drive his car on top of people, because that's what this Batman did in the movie, and that's what really rubbed me the wrong way, because I'm like, this Batman is going out of his way to kill people. He's not even like incidentally doing it, kind of like, you know, in a disconnected sort of way. He's like deliberately like, I'm going to kill these people purposefully. That is my goal. And that's what rubbed me the wrong way, because I was like, Batman wouldn't do that. Like, even if you're gonna have, you know, other Batman movies like in the past, they've always done it in a more indirect kind of way where it wasn't really his fault. But this was like, there's no way around it. This is definitely 100% Batman doing this on purpose. And that's what rubbed me the wrong way for this Batman. Everything else about it was cool. The fight scene was cool. There's a lot of great action in the movie. But man, there was just like core elements to it that I just couldn't get past. I felt like they got characteristics wrong. And, you know, that, not to mention that the motivations as to why this version of Lex Luthor hates Superman at all. Normally it's something about, like, you know, humanity or just greed in general. but this was more of like some kind of weird god complex where he wants to like beat God, or he has a grudge against God or something. It was kind of convoluted, and you know, it was weird, and it didn't really make a whole lot of sense. And I was like, I don't get it. Is he just crazy? Because if he's just a crazy maniacal guy and he's not, there's no like method to it, which there didn't seem to be any kind of method to it. He seemed to be just doing crazy random stuff because he's crazy and he hates God. You know, I was like, I don't know. It didn't feel like Lex Luthor. The motivations didn't make sense. Batman was doing things. Superman was frowning the whole time. Doomsday looked ridiculous and dumb. I was disappointed with that movie. And I've since seen the uncut, or not the uncut, but the extended director's cut of Batman v Superman. And it does do a lot of great things as far as like adding context to the motivations, or at the very least, the plan, like what Lex Luthor's plan actually was. Especially at that beginning scene, like how he was framing Superman. At the very least, there's more of that going on. You know, so it helped a little bit, but it didn't save the movie for me. Batman v Superman I still find to be pretty damn disappointing. But again, it's been maybe 4 or 5 years since I've watched that one, or however many years it's been. You know, so I do feel like I'm gonna have to do a rewatch within the next week, just to like kind of refresh. Maybe things have changed slightly, I don't know. But as far as those two Zack Snyder DC movies, you know, it went from one that I enjoyed but I kind of had some problems with, to one that massively disappointed me. And it's clear that Zack Snyder was going in a direction that I just don't agree with. I'm not, the tone and the version of these characters, the aspects that he's chosen to focus on, I just don't agree with how he sees these characters, and it's not what I read in my comic books, you know. And I know it's not a one-to-one, none of the movies have been exactly one-to-one, so I get that, but it was like, just, you know, even the Nolan movies, as far as they were from the comic book version of Batman, they at least got the character right. Like, it felt like the same person but in a different world. But these felt like different people. These didn't feel like they were the right characters, to me anyways. So, you know, and of course since then the DCEU has gone on to be whatever it is. I'm unsure of what the continuity is supposed to be at this point, because, you know, we have the Suicide Squad, but then we have a different Suicide Squad coming out, and then we had, you know, Birds of Prey, which kind of may or may not acknowledge some things, and then Shazam seems very disconnected, kind of. It's all very hazy as to like what the continuity is. I don't know if it all counts and somehow it all makes sense, or what the deal really is. And then of course it's like, we have a Justice League already, and things I'm assuming are going to be slightly different in this version. So, you know, what counts, what doesn't count, I don't know. But in any case, that's where I'm at with Zack Snyder's DCEU. I am a big DC fan. I want to love these movies. I want them to be good. But he's gone in such a direction that I don't agree with. I would not have done, obviously. But I'm going to go in with an open mind. Because I think, like, as time has gone on, in fact, maybe it's actually good, in some way at least, that his version of Justice League isn't coming out until now, years after the fact, because it's given me time to just accept this other world, this Elseworlds, if you will, for what it is. It's like, this is not classic Superman and Batman, this is Snyderverse over here. And if you can just accept that, and accept that this is just not the mainstream, mainline version, this is not Earth 1 that you have come to know, enjoy it for what it is. And that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to go into this movie with an open mind. I'm going to say, okay, this is its own thing. He's going to, you know, I don't know what he's going to do with these characters. I don't know where this is going. I don't know how different this is actually supposed to be from the other Justice League. I'm hoping that it's like drastically different. I know there's a bunch of different footage, but I'm hoping the actual story is like pretty drastically different, because it would kind of suck if we watched this for 4 hours and at the end of the day it was like the same story essentially. So I'm hoping the story's pretty different. We're still fighting Steppenwolf and we're still trying to get these mother boxes and all that stuff. So I don't know what's gonna happen. But like I said, I'm willing to give this a chance. I'm willing to go in there with an open mind. I have accepted that this is not the DC universe that I wanted, but it's what we have, and the movies since then have been all over the place as far as quality and continuity. They're just all over the place. So this is what we got, and I'm gonna give it a shot. We have 10 days until then. I'm gonna try and do a rewatch of Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, the director's cut of Batman v Superman. And who knows, maybe you'll see me on Twitter going, hey, you know what, it's actually not that bad now that it's been 4-5 years since it came out. It's not as bad. But who knows? I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this Zack Snyder Justice League. There's it has this crazy huge fan base that people who basically have already decided that they love this version. So we'll see. I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm not outright just pushing it away, saying no, it's stupid. I'm gonna see how I feel. So anyways, let me know what you guys think. Let me know how excited you are or are not about Zack Snyder's Justice League, how you feel about the DCEU overall, and just, are you gonna watch this whole thing in one setting, 1 4-hour setting, or are you gonna like chop it in half and just watch 2 hours one night and 2 hours the other night, or just whenever you're brushing your teeth, are you gonna have the phone playing and just like, I watched 10 minutes of it and I'll watch, let me know how you're gonna watch it. Let me know how excited you are. And if you're a big Snyder fan out there who really loves these movies, then I'm happy for you. I'm genuinely happy that you're getting this. I guess you would just call it a director's cut also, even though it's like the most extended director's cut in the world. You're getting this version of the movie that you've always wanted. That's really cool. That almost never happens. That's only happened like a handful of times. Something this drastic, so that's pretty awesome. All right, so I'll see you guys next time. Bye.